What if I told you that the man who inspired a generation, the president who stared down the Soviets, backed the civil rights movement, and promised to land a man on the moon, was also sneaking around D.C. in the dead of night for secret hookups? What if one of America's all-time great icons of the 20th century, John F. Kennedy, was not only a war hero and a great leader, but a man consumed by a vortex of lust, lies, and lethal secrets? And what would you say if I told you that in the center of that web was Earth's most coveted woman, Marilyn Monroe? This is not a tabloid story. This is not gossip. This is a story of raw power, suppressed lust, FBI wiretaps, CIA terror, and one of American pop culture's most elusive deaths. John F. Kennedy wasn't just running a country. He was running a double life. And Marilyn, she wasn't just a movie star. She might have been the most dangerous woman in Washington. The rumors of their love affair have lingered for decades. The birthday song, the sultry voice, the gown that sparkled like stardust. But underlying all that sparkle was a vortex of paranoia, state secrets, and a diary that could have possessed the ability to destroy Camelot. Today, it's not just a love story, it's a fall from innocence. It's a country in love with a president, and a president in love with danger. This is the never-told-before story of JFK and Marilyn Monroe, and by watching to the end of this video, you're going to be wondering everything you ever believed about America's beloved president and its biggest tragedy. In 1960, America fell head over heels for a young senator from Massachusetts. John Fitzgerald Kennedy had everything: a beautiful wife, a war hero resume, and the kind of charm that made TV cameras fall in love. He was the face of hope. But here's reality. Camelot was flawed, big time. Even before his inauguration, JFK was entangled in extramarital relationships. His charm, his status, and his appetite for risk made him a magnet for women, and his inner circle did everything they could to cover it up. As reported in several biographies, Kennedy's womanizing was not occasional but compulsive. White House aides were told not to pry. Secret Service men came up with code phrases for women on the way in. JFK himself, some reports say, even used a secret underground tunnel in the White House to slip in guests unseen. And that leads directly into the worst of all affairs. By the time JFK stepped into the Oval Office, Marilyn Monroe was already America's most famous woman. But behind the beauty was a woman spiraling, mentally, emotionally, and chemically. Her marriage with Arthur Miller had fallen apart. She struggled with insomnia, anxiety, and developing dependence on pills. But she felt lonely, terribly insecure, and in search of meaning beyond the lens of a camera. That is where she met Jack. Some claim they met at a Palm Springs party hosted by Frank Sinatra. Others believe Peter Lawford, JFK's Hollywood brother-in-law, played matchmaker. Regardless, by 1961, Marilyn and Jack were seeing each other discreetly. At first, it was thrilling. Marilyn was captivated. JFK was flattered. But things escalated fast. Marilyn allegedly felt they were going to have a future together, that JFK would leave Jackie and be with her. She even informed friends that she could be Mrs. Kennedy. But JFK had no intentions of leaving Jackie. For him, Marilyn was just another risk in a long line of dangerous dalliances. JFK's 45th birthday party at Madison Square Garden was going to be just another extravagant political fundraising event. Then, when Marilyn emerged on that stage, everything changed. Wearing a skin-tight, rhinestone-studded gown and nothing underneath, she whispered, "Happy birthday, Mr. President." The audience lost it. JFK blushed. The press hummed. Jackie? She stayed home. That moment, just 45 seconds, became one of the most iconic pop culture clips in American history. But behind the sparkle was a growing storm. From that moment, the JFK-Marilyn rumor wasn't just an insider whisper. It became national curiosity. And for the Kennedys, that was a problem. A big one. Marilyn was becoming a liability. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover already kept files on her. She was reportedly connected with activists, communists, and even Latin American diplomats. Put that together with her association with JFK and RFK, and it was a national security nightmare. As declassified documents demonstrate, The FBI was afraid that Marilyn would spill secrets, that she knew things she shouldn't have known. About Cuba, the Bay of Pigs, even nuclear policy. And then came the rumors of a red diary. Monroe's friends claim she kept a journal, listing names, dates, and political pillow talk. Some say she told others she had information that would ruin JFK. The problem? That diary went missing on the night she died. At just 36 years old, Marilyn Monroe was found dead in her Los Angeles home. The cause? Barbiturate overdose. Official ruling? Suicide. However, facts? Suspicious at best. The housekeeper later claimed that Marilyn had withdrawn from the room. Then she changed her story again. The doctor waited hours before calling police. No glass was discovered around the bed. Despite the pills overdose explanation, the phone records were deleted. Her room was too neat as it was set up. That journal? Lost. Even stranger, Bobby Kennedy was in LA that day. Others reported that he went to see her at her residence that afternoon. Others still reported that he argued with her over the phone. Numerous insiders, including Lawford, would later admit regret and fear. They stated the reality was too explosive to ever be released. So, was Marilyn muted? Or was her death actually a result of emotional abuse over the years? We may never know. Here is a question for you. If there were a social media presence in the 1960s, and Marilyn shared photos, voice memos, or diary entries revealing Kennedy's, how would things have differed historically? Would JFK have been impeached? Would he have been forgiven by the public? Put your response in the comments. I'd love to know your guess as to how it would have played out in today's digital age. Through all the tumult, Jackie Kennedy was unruffled, always composed, always graceful. But offstage, she probably knew it all. Reports suggest Jackie had an understanding with JFK, that as long as public perception was clean, she'd keep quiet. It was an agonizing setup, but it maintained the semblance of America's royal family. According to reports, after Marilyn died, Jackie would only mention it once and would only say, "Poor girl, she never had a chance." Marilyn's death didn't silence the Kennedy rumors. It made them louder. New books, documentaries, interviews, and FBI leaks would persist for decades. However, the story never really disappeared because it is a representation of something deeper, the intersection of politics, celebrity, secrecy, and death. JFK was assassinated in Dallas just a year later. RFK was gunned down in 1968. And Monroe? She remains frozen in time, beautiful, tragic, and voiceless. So, what have we learned from this messy web of passion, power, and silence? That even the most powerful men in the world can fall prey to their flaws. That fame doesn't protect you from tragedy. It often accelerates it. That image is everything in politics, but truth always finds a crack. And that history is not documented by villains or angels, but by fragile, flawed human beings. JFK and Marilyn Monroe were not only icons, they were cautions about how far people would go in a bid to maintain a fantasy and what is lost along the way. Now, after all this tumult, scandal, and smoke-filled back rooms, what if we told you of a president who was just the opposite? No scandals, no cover-ups, no CIA panic. Just a common man from rural Georgia who constructed homes for people with his own hands and prayed before each meeting. Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer who came from rustic fields all the way to the top office in the country without compromising his soul. Click on your screen thumb now and hear America's most honest president share a story. Believe me, it's a sight to see what a leader should actually look like.